and Kyle for joining us. So kind of what we'll do is usually very casual, kind of just tell us a bit about yourself. I'll ask some questions, and then kind of at the end we'll open up for questions from the team.
For sure, no problem.
Sweet. So for right now we got probably a couple more where we're joined now, but basically for those of you who don't know, so Kyle is one of our clients with Keynote Group. So we've done some SEO stuff with them, help you guys get Toronto location set up and doing some stuff there. I just want to make sure everyone knows that that you're a client. So tell us a bit about yourself. Oh, go ahead.
Are you worried they're gonna say something bad about me there, or what?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. You never know what TT is gonna bring.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, we'll start maybe back with your education. Where you came from, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in Peterborough, Ontario, and then I decided to go to school out at St. FX out in Nova Scotia, and took a business degree there with a major in marketing. And then from there, it was a tough market to find a job, especially I wanted to stay out in the East Coast. So there really wasn't anything in Halifax in marketing in 2007, 2008 kind of thing. So I ended up going the entrepreneurial route, convinced my brother, who was my business partner at the time, to leave his $15 an hour graphic design job at a local Halifax agency. Yeah. And we started a Faces magazine, as well as a kind of Adobe Flash website and advertising company.
Nice.
Yeah, so we did that to both Faces, and the agency was called Side B Creative Bureau. So we did both those for 3 years until 2010, when the iPhone launched, and it didn't support Adobe Flash. So it kind of...
Oh, right. Yeah, they stopped working in about 2010, 2011, something like that, 2012?
Yeah, right around there. So we were pretty fast growing in Halifax and kind of quickly becoming, the go-to Flash agency. And then basically everybody said, no more Flash. We don't want Flash if the iPhone won't support it. So we transitioned and just kind of shut that side of the business down and decided to focus on Faces magazine.
Yeah.
So with the focus, we decided to sell franchises. And we were able to sell 6 locations for the magazine. And before eventually selling off 2 remaining locations years later. None of the other franchises lasted other than Halifax and Ottawa. So I moved to Ottawa in 2010 to start which would have been the second location for Faces magazine. The first being Halifax. And then from there franchised out. None of the franchises worked out. They all kind of tanked within a year. Which kind of was the end to our growth model of Faces, because you have to disclose how your other ones have done in order when you're selling other ones. So we decided to sell off the 2 locations, and then I entered the workforce, being in Ottawa. We didn't sell for enough to retire, unfortunately.
And everyone's seeing them nowadays, Faces, right? Because they got the award stuff and all that kind of stuff.
They're still going. Ottawa's the only location that's still running. Halifax eventually shut down as well. But so I joined the workforce in Ottawa, and being in Ottawa, everybody said, "Yo, you got to get a government job." And I didn't know, because I'd never actually had a real job before, other than working for myself. So I started at Canada Post. Lovely people, just terrible work.
What was so bad about it?
Well, just they just kind of made work for people, and there was no impact. Like, I was there for 11 months, almost a year, and if I wasn't there, nothing would have changed at all, and nothing they had me doing was even remotely useful, from what I could gather. So I decided to leave when a headhunter reached out about an opportunity at Welch LLP. The accounting firm, So I joined there as the director of marketing, stayed there for 3.5 years, and then eventually moved to Keynote Group, where I currently am now as the VP of marketing. And I've been there since January 2019.
Nice.
That's kind of my career in a
the path.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of gigs and some cool ones, right? So like the Canada Post, you were doing direct marketing, so it wasn't even like digital or online, right?
No, it was all direct. Basically, flyers and postcards, that kind of stuff was the focus. And it was growing that base for Canada Post. Not overly exciting.
A different beast. But you know what? Honestly, I think the flyers and the old school like tactics are kind of, they're coming to like the front again. As people like maximize their digital, I think more people are looking for like different things and integrating digital. So something I've seen, like, for example, a lot of e-commerce stores. I have some buddies in the States who have e-commerce, and what they'll do is like they can actually track when somebody visits your website, try and identify who that person is or what their address is, and then send it basically, you use like a Zapier to send to, basically they have like these handwritten notes. It looks handwritten. So basically it automatically will send out these handwritten notes with like a, thanks for visiting our site. You know, we saw you looked at this. Here's 10% off or something like that, right? Automating that process. So using like the old school tactics with the digital, and some of it's a pretty cool success. So it's kind of cool to see, right? Like,
yeah, I find it still works actually. Even just sending the just standard postcards, you print them on Vistaprint, you get like a couple hundred for like $50, and then I find those are still effective in getting conversations started.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we were talking, we had our retreat right before everything hit in like early March. And we had this idea that every new sales proposal we were going to send out, we were going to print it out on like nice paper, put it in like a custom mailer with a little bit of swag, send it off to every opportunity, right? Which, you don't have an insane amount of opportunities. Like there's like cost involved, but I thought it would definitely make a difference when they're analyzing all the different proposals. The one they have on their desk, you know, that went that extra mile, like it's probably going to stand out in their mind, right? For what, $5-10 or something like that. It's not a big deal. So there's definitely some opportunities there, but anyways, I digress.
Hey, that's okay. Hey, one at Keynote, one of those video mailers. With the video screen inside the brochure. And that we use them as event invites, and those event invites, you know, outperformed the email invites we sent by a mile. Like they were really, really effective. Yeah.
I mean, those are a lot more expensive than $5-10.
That's true. Yeah.
I like that thinking outside the box, you know, type of thing, which I've seen with you for sure. So when you were at Welch, and again, some of you might not know, but Marley used to work with you at Welch, right? So you were a boss, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Becomes well recommended, so that's cool too.
Yeah. No, Marley was great.
Yeah. So you won in your time there. You got 40 under 40, and you also won. It was an award with Randstad, right?
Yeah. Canada's Marketing Leader of the Year.
That's impressive.
I don't know how many applicants there were. It was one that was it was sent in from employees. So it was my staff that actually submitted that application for me to talk about my leadership in marketing. And I guess I taught them well. They did a good job in the application to convince them to give me the award. Yeah.
That's so cool. So was there, for that one, was there like an event or anything, or was it a straight up award, or how'd they do it?
Yeah, there's an event in Toronto. I didn't actually go because I don't know. I didn't know anything about the awards or much. They just kind of sent me an email and didn't let me know that I should be there. So I didn't attend, but they ended up meeting up with me my next trip to Toronto from when I had to go for Welch and getting the award there. Yeah,
that's funny. That's a funny story. That's cool. So okay, so now you're VP of marketing at Keynote. So you know, very competitive based, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I like what you guys have. You've honed in on like certain industries, which is interesting. I think there's pros and cons to that, obviously, right?
Yeah.
You know, they're definitely good where, you know, for like you probably seen for your processes and stuff like that, like you can get really specific and you know your customer, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your question. Sorry.
No, I want to hear what you have to say, Kyle.
I was just gonna say, for us, like we work on our brand as being an executive search company. So anybody in a general industry will hopefully think of us top of mind as an option. And then as we hone in from industry, it's trying to convey the message that we're the experts in those specific industries. That way, those industry leaders think of us as the go-to. So by focusing on the industries, I think we still capture the brand essence as well. So I think it's an easy way to mix it. But
Absolutely.
you know the same.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's like it's kind of one of the challenges with marketing in general for us is like we have like these different customer types, right? For us, it's like we have our local type business, right? So it could be a dentist, a landscaper, whatever. And generally they're not very too technical, right? They care about just leads or phone calls. It's someone who would historically use the yellow pages, right? That's one. The second is our e-commerce clients. So they usually have like a Shopify store. They shipping, nationally or internationally. Typically, they're a lot more technical. A lot of them have done it to a certain point. Like they built their site, they understand SEO, they've done paid ads. They got so busy they need to focus on building their business. And then the third is kind of our B2B or SaaS, like enterprise type customer. So it's like very technical. They usually have teams and, they usually have like CRMs and that kind of stuff. And they have a lot of different initiatives and webinars and like very advanced, but they also require a lot of like ongoing handholding and projects and like, so those are like kind of the main three. So for us, it's like marketing is really a challenge because it's like you're speaking to three different types of customers, right? Right. So where you can narrow down to one, I think it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to get that message out there. Right?
Yeah, of course.
So I got a couple questions. So
all right,
I'm going to pull some out of the bag here. Tell me, I don't know, what's one of the most interesting marketing campaigns you've ever worked on?
I think for me the most interesting was probably the Faces Awards that are going on. You've heard of them. So when I was running it, they were quite a bit different, a little more niche. It wasn't as broad. So we started in Halifax. Our very first one was, it was all service industry driven. So it was bars, restaurants, hair salons, spas, that kind of thing. So we did do like best bartender in Halifax, best hairstylist in Halifax. And those were the awards, but it was kind of a new, let's say in Halifax, there wasn't anything like it at the time. So we were trying to kind of break in and figure out how we can get people engaged with our brand and kind of vote in the awards. So we were able to, I'd say, strategically pick some of the nominees.
Nice.
So we were able to include some of those to kind of build kind of a little bit of influencer marketing. And this was back in like 2008 or 2009, I believe, was the first one. So it was kind of before the broad influencer marketing kind of took place. So we strategically picked people with a good network or who knew some sort of a celebrity that we could try to get them to vote on the platform to really kind of increase our sort of awareness for the awards. So we were luckily able to engage with a couple of the nominees and Tyler Seguin. I don't know if anybody's a big hockey fan, but yeah, he ended up, so we knew that he knew one of the nominees who we strategically put forward, and he just tweeted out, everybody go vote, and it actually crashed our voting server right away. Obviously,
no way.
There was 400,000 people at once going to vote for this one nominee who obviously won the award. So that was, it was kind of our first, crack at influencer marketing and trying to kind of tap into the celebrity type pool. And that campaign, obviously, the awards were super successful for us, and we were actually able to then, our brand became a bit bigger. We were able to attract celebrities and that kind of thing to get into the magazine. So we were able to, even get awards and put Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys on a cover. We had Ellen Page on the cover, the actress there. So it was kind of I think the beginning of influencer marketing for us. And it was very, very early on, I think, before it was a massive thing. Like it was before Instagram. even existed. So
How cool is that? That's awesome. Yeah. I noticed the faces, like they always use a lot of like sends and stuff like that,
no,
right? Like, right over the last few years, right? That's and I think maybe the awards they were bringing. One of them was it someone Scott Disick or something, like a Kardashian, someone from the crew.
Yeah, they're always trying to get somebody in there. I know I went to the one when they had Fabio, the long-haired model there. I went to that one.
That's too much 80s, like this guy's great.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That's cool. So, oh yeah, there you go, Brody Jenner too.
Yeah, Brody Jenner. They had those same guys that run faces. They brought in Terrell Owens too for like a casino event once, and yeah,
I definitely would have gone to that one if I had known about it. That's cool. So, tell me, what's something that helps spark your creativity?
For me, I mean, it's gonna sound really weird, and that looks a bit weird, but I constantly keep one of my AirPods in to basically like gangster rap. I find like whenever I'm going to do something creative, I gotta be listening to rap music, or else it just doesn't come out the way it should. Yeah.
Like who's your favorite?
So some of the new guys I'm into would be like Lil Durk, Lil Baby.
Lil Baby's great.
Yeah, I love Lil Baby.
Yeah.
Big Meek Mill guy, Rick Ross. Yeah.
Okay. So this is some of the same music then.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty hardcore, right, Brock?
That's all. Oh, of course.
Couple of
most hardcore.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Austin likes it. Derek is actually a rapper. We'll have to send you the YouTube video of Derek.
Oh yeah.
Rapping. MC Deke. That's right.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. So, okay, what's I mean, as much as anybody, marketing can be challenging, right? There's no guarantees in marketing.
Of course, yeah.
What do you find? What's the question is what's the hardest part of your job? But what's the hardest part of marketing? What do you find? For you,
that's a tough question. For me, I think specifically at Keynote Group, or even when I have clients on the side, is just not having a team. Like I don't have a team at Keynote that works with me to kind of help bounce ideas off of, brainstorming, getting different perspectives on campaigns. So for me, it's I do have kind of like a marketing assistant type, I'd say, but not one that actually contributes from a strategy or marketing execution thing standpoint. So I think that would be the most challenging thing for me is, one perspective is only one perspective. And as you know, the more diverse the ideas and perspectives that you can get, the more you're going to get out of the performance and optimization of your campaign. So for me, that's probably, I think, the hardest. I think a general thing for a lot of marketers is just being able to showcase the value, being able to ensure that you have the proper metrics in place to track, where you are with your goals. I think there's a lot of marketers out there and a lot of agencies that would be competitors of yours, as you know, that just I don't think they really track well and can't really prove any kind of value or results for their clients, which they will eventually, leave at that point. But I think that's a big thing for a lot of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Team. The first thing you said there was so important, right? Having someone that can help you like in tough times. I know for us, so it's interesting. The two of the things you mentioned are kind of our core values. Like one is collaboration, which is the teamwork thing. And another one is transparency, which goes back to, right, how do you communicate value and, analytics and, goal tracking and all that kind of stuff. So we're definitely, very aware of those things. But the teamwork thing, I know for us, especially over the past month, 6 weeks, whatever we're at now, I mean, having that team and everyone working towards the same goal, like especially in a really difficult time, has been so important, right? Like, and I know there's, what we've seen is just like kind of a pivot from what clients are looking for. So maybe 2 months ago, a lot more people are looking for SEO. They're looking at their long-term games. Right now, all these businesses, I mean, something like 80% of small business in Canada are not operating right now, which is insane, right? But a lot of them are pivoting their strategies, right? So now they're doing they need web design because they need to, they need content because they're changing the copy. They need ads because to something different. So a lot of the strategies has changed, and what that's done is I think it's put a lot of stress on certain departments we have, right? Because there's so much work when you're trying to get it through it.
Yeah.
And especially right now, you need to keep getting through it, grinding, because you don't know where the next dollar is going to come from, right?
It's true. Yeah, very true.
So yeah, the team thing, I think it's so important. I can't undervalue that enough. So.
Oh, I know. At Keynote, for me, I'm not an expert with marketing automation or CRM by any means. But I'm the expert at Keynote, right? So I'm I'm writing the content copy, producing the creative, doing the automation, the tracking, literally just everything. So it's tough when you don't have a team with experts with certain, even just technical expertise that might be missing. But yeah.
Oh, for sure. It makes such a difference, right?
Yeah.
So if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
I as a younger guy, I was the man. I'm just kidding. I think just do what you do, live life. I was never the best student or anything while I was in university. I didn't do poor academically. I just mean I didn't show up to class overly often. And I think I would just keep doing the same if I were to go back, and just get those life experience are just as important, I think, as academic experience. The one thing I would say where I probably could have done better when I was younger was just networking. I think my whole career I've kind of leveraged my network in order to achieve success. It's always been a big part of my strategy is the networking. And I think when I was younger, I didn't quite get that. I used to go to the business banquets at St. FX with my hat on backwards, drinking right out of the bottle, stuff like that. Those are a few things I would probably say, hey, just clean up for an hour or two, and then you can get back to it after. But other than that, I think life experiences are, you got to get out and experience as much as you can. So I'm glad I did as much as I could do when I was younger before I had to turn professional, let's say. Yeah.
I mean, you have a lot of experience, it looks like, at a young age, and now you got the family and two kids.
Yeah, a girl and a boy, 4 and 3. Yeah.
That's awesome. And your wife, she's an entrepreneur as well, right? She
is, yeah. She's an interior decorator, kind of on halt right now because of the coronavirus, but
makes sense.
But yeah, no, she started that last year. She's been doing really well.
Oh, that's awesome.
She's got great marketing.
I've seen it everywhere on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned networking and LinkedIn. I think that's kind of where we met, right? I think you reached out to me a couple years ago on LinkedIn, so that was pretty cool. Tell us about your LinkedIn strategy. You look like you're a LinkedIn guru. You do a really good job. So give us some tips, man.
Appreciate it. My LinkedIn strategy is just being active, and engaging with the community. I think I'm not a big, let's say motivational type post kind of guy myself. I think just sticking true to who you are and posting the content that resonates with yourself is probably the best way to go with it. As you said, I messaged you through LinkedIn because I felt you did a great job at positioning yourself as a thought leader in the digital marketing industry, and I think that speaks volumes of what you can do for your clients. I think that's what a lot of, let's say, agency leaders or business leaders out there fail to do, is kind of position themselves by staying active and providing those thought leadership pieces.
It's so important, right? It's something you have to do. It's almost an everyday thing, right?
Yeah.
Just a few minutes and engaging with other people, because if you're just screaming out the whole time, making posts and not engaging with anyone, I don't think you're gonna get as much love, right?
Yeah, it's true.
I know for me personally, like it takes a lot of energy for me to like share, because a lot of times I'm worried about saying the wrong thing, or how is that going to come off, or something I didn't think about, right? Sometimes I'd rather like say nothing than say the wrong thing, right? Which can lead to inaction, I think.
I agree. But LinkedIn's, I think it's a perfect platform for, the humble brags where you can speak about your successes without being considered a dick, let's say, or something, like.
That's true. And it's gotten a lot better over the last couple of years. I think, I remember like 2-3 years ago, you post something that wasn't, I don't know, a certificate, and people are like, this isn't Facebook.
Yeah.
Right?
I know, yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of people very protective over LinkedIn. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, but they've done a really good job of like adding features, like how you can add the articles. The live video. I mean, everyone's done that. And I think now that you can add events, which is pretty cool. I just saw that.
The event edition was nice. I actually didn't know about it till somebody invited me to a webinar, and I was like, how did you do this? That would have been nice to do. And especially at Welch, we hosted a ton of webinars. So
yeah, that would have been really helpful, especially if maybe they'll have a sponsored post type of thing for the events. That would be really cool and useful.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of LinkedIn for sure. So are you a big reader? You read any books at all?
Currently, I'm not reading any. I find by working at home and then being a dad, I just Netflix and chill at night. I can't put any more effort into reading something. But I think the books I've read recently have been the Rick Ross autobiography, the Hot Boy Turk auto-thugography. I read the Gucci Mane autobiography as well, and Seanography. I like the autobiographies because I think rappers, part of the reason I think I'm drawn to rap culture as well is I find they're the best marketers in the world. Like they are able to create brand loyalty, and like people will get on the street and fight for them. It's wild. So I think the stories they tell and how they're able to tell their story is very appealing, and how you can kind of transfer that into different marketing campaigns or building brand loyalty for actual brands. I think there's a good correlation there, as silly as it seems. But so I like to read autobiographies, especially from rappers. So I'm waiting for a new one to come out.
The Rick Ross. So that's Rick Ross, the rapper, not the real Rick Ross.
No, not the real one. Yeah, the rapper Rick Ross.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Did you know we actually did some marketing for Gucci Mane?
No, last year? Did you actually?
Yeah, but so his tour was coming to Canada, and I don't know, I guess it was falling apart or something like that. So someone had basically taken it over. They came to us. I think it was Derek. Derek, I think you might have been the account manager. I can't recall 100%. And they basically needed to promote the Cross Canada tour. So I believe there was like 7 cities or 8 cities they had to basically promote. It was a very tight timelines. And it was Malin had done the ads for them. So we were doing Instagram ads, Facebook ads. And I remember when he got access to the Gucci Mane account, and he was like, holy shit, 8 million followers. And you know, how I was excited because I knew Gucci Mane from 2008. And And yeah, he was really excited too, because he was into some people. My wife, she's like, "Who the hell is that? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
She didn't get it, and I was like, "No, this is cool."
Yeah, that's unreal. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'll have to send you some of the ads. They actually ended up canceling the tour because they weren't sure he was going to get into Canada, right?
Yeah, I mean, good chance he wouldn't.
But so they canceled it. I don't know, fell apart. But the funny thing was, he did get into Canada. And this was when the Raptors were playing. I think it was who were they playing? Anyways, he went to the game and chilled with Drake, so it's pretty. He did okay anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is something most people don't know about you? You probably told us everything now, but
yeah, geez, I don't know. Something most people don't know about me. I'm a big ping pong player, I'd say. Yeah, I mean, Marley would know because of Welch. So I was actually the advocate and was able to convince Welch to put a ping pong table in our cafe. And I was the champion of every tournament we hosted.
Really?
And then when I left, I nailed my paddle into the wall at Welch so that they'd never forget.
That's still up there right now.
Is it? Yeah.
That's awesome. We actually have I actually have a ping pong table set up in the boardroom right now.
Oh, nice.
You have those ones like you can clamp it onto any table.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
One of our clients gave it to us. He gave us 2 ping pong nets and he gave us a case of beer and he was like, have at it. It was actually a pretty good day.
Nice. Yeah.
The best clients.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's good to know. We'll definitely have to have you over once this is all said and done to play some ping pong and you can show us a thing or two.
Well, you know what? I don't play frequently. Some of you guys will probably beat me, but I just quite enjoy it. Yes.
Who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what about beer pong? You good at that, or is it just...
No, I'm a terrible beer pong player. Not a great accuracy on my throw, and not a great beer drinker either. Pretty soft. Yeah.
We won't hold it against you.
Yeah.
That's cool. Excellent. All right. Well, that's kind of all the questions I have. I was hoping that maybe we could open up the floor to the team and see if anybody has any questions for you. So let's see. Oh, we have one from Austin. I heard that you were part of a charity boxing event. Could you tell us a bit more about that? How was the training? How long did it take? What was the result? So that was last year, right?
Yeah, so I did Fight for the Cure, so the charity event where it's business people that fight each other, people in the business industry. And then I trained for 8 months for the fight. So you actually take, you get trained in like actual boxing lessons. They teach you how to fight, how to take punches, which I took a lot of, and how to properly, dodge and hit. The training was pretty intense. It was twice a week for one hour, and then you'd have to go to the gym and stuff. But I've never been in better shape, so it was a great experience. And then, you do it to support, cancer survivorship, cancer research for the Ottawa Regional Cancer Foundation. So it was something I kind of always wanted to do. I've had a couple friends pass away from cancer in their 20s, so it was kind of always something that was very close to me. So I thought it was a great way to honor, my 2 friends who did pass away and kind of fight on their behalf. So it was an awesome experience. Yeah.
That's really special, man. Like, huge kudos to you. That's it probably took a lot of like time, effort, like a lot of things, right, to kind of get to that point and get through it. And like, that's so cool. And the fact that who you were fighting was, it was Jeff Clark, which I actually went to high school with Jeff.
Oh, did you?
So I did. He was called Little Jeff at the time.
Okay.
He was little. A good guy, little skater kid, right?
Yeah.
Now same thing. He's professionalized himself a little bit.
Yeah, well, I was definitely the underdog going into the fight, which was good because I had no pressure on me, so that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love those. I love the shirts you had done. The
Kyle Turk,
too. Those are pretty good. That's good. So definitely a huge coaster. And it was. So is it Matt Whitaker, I think, and his brother are the guys who...
Scott Whitaker is the one that continues to run it, but him and Matt were the co-founders of it, so they used to do it together.
Yeah, that's cool. Kara has a question. So I know you spoke a lot about your work experience. Did you also do any volunteer or extracurricular activities that you found helped to propel your career in marketing? What were they, and how did they help?
In my early days, I actually didn't do any volunteer work. I know that's terrible to say. I only kind of started doing volunteer work once I was a little more established. I think I was always, I didn't want to do volunteer work and not know what I was doing, maybe, which probably isn't the best approach to go because it is probably a great learning opportunity. But I think I volunteered for marketing for a couple, the Ottawa, what was it? I don't know why I can't think of the name right now. That's so bad. It's the one where they do the breakfast for kids at the schools. If somebody knows it, I don't know why it's escaping me. But so I did some marketing help there. I did some marketing and design help for a local lacrosse team. So kind of getting into the youth sports and that kind of thing. I think what I learned from it is just different one was a nonprofit organization, one was a sports club. So I think between those two, like I'd never had exposure to marketing in not-for-profits. I'd never had exposure to marketing for a sports organization. So I think just getting exposure to different industries, seeing what they need to achieve and their goals, and kind of coming up with different strategies, because it'd be completely different for a nonprofit than a private organization than a sports club. So I think it's just exposure to different experiences, and then different successes that we had. I can take those and kind of see how I could correlate some of those into what I'm doing for, whether it be at Welch or Keynote.
Yeah. What you said, that's so important. It's experience, right? Like the more things you do, it doesn't matter what it is really, right? It's just getting that experience and giving you more data to work with in the future, or even not making the same mistake twice.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And when it's volunteers, they can't get too mad at you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You're just trying to help. Yeah.
Save space.
Yeah.
So this is from Derek. What are your pet peeves about working with agencies? And then 2, what impresses you when you're working with an agency?
Pet peeves with agencies, there's a lot of bullshit, obviously. And I'd consider myself to have an extensive background in marketing and digital marketing. So when I talk to agencies and they try to bullshit me about something, or they try to tell me, all this stuff is what they're going to do, here's a cost, and it's going to take them 15 minutes, and they're making it into this big thing, and it's going to cost you, thousands of dollars a month, that you can do it, when you know what they're actually doing, and they try to make it into something it's not. It's a big pet peeve of mine, because I think they're trying to take advantage of people that may not know. I'm a big fan, transparency is everything, right? In order to build an honest, long-lasting relationship, I think you just got to be straight up. So when agencies are very, transparent, they tell you what's up, they do good work. I always see what other work they've done. So when I see an agency that I think's done really good work, or I like what they're doing, that definitely impresses me. And I think, transparency is probably the number one thing. You got to be able to trust your agency and trust the people you're working with. So if there's, eventually the person will figure it out, or get enough exposure to what you're doing to figure out that you've been kind of cheating them for a while. So.
Absolutely. That's so important, especially in the SEO industry. There's so many scammers out there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Looking to make a quick buck. And I'm the most anti-seller. When I'm talking to someone, I'm almost trying not to sell them, because I'm so worried about not living up to expectations, and
yeah.
Oh man, so
I'm a big fan of the soft sell. Anybody that tries to hard sell me, just get out of here, right? I think, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I just included a link to the Marketing Malarkey podcast, which which you do. We actually, for those who don't know, I was a guest on your first episode, and we talked about bullshit in SEO.
Yeah. So you were our first guest. You were fantastic. The Marketing Malarkey podcast, unfortunately, doesn't record anymore. I think we did 4 or 5 episodes, maybe. Yeah. And then that was the end of it. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of just something to do for fun, and get to chat about marketing. Yeah. Co-host was awesome, but unfortunately, he's no longer in the industry, so it kind of didn't really make sense to keep putting it out. But it was fun.
I had a lot of fun. I feel honored to have been one of those 5. It'll live on forever.
Well, it's funny. Yours was the most valuable for me. I actually did not even know about Harrow, the helper reporter. I didn't know about it until you mentioned it. And it's great. Even for Courtney, she's been published a ton in her industry. The local competitors that she would have, and big names, aren't published as much anywhere, right? And she seems like a top dog. So it actually it's been great for Courtney. Yeah,
absolutely. It's like I said, it's literally I've had clients that had publishers in the States $10,000 US a month, and they don't get placements that you can get on Harrow for free.
I know. It's actually a great tool. So that was probably the most useful thing from that podcast. The most useful thing I would take from that was our interview with you, and getting that tip you gave us.
I love that. That was a fun day. I know I played golf and came back, and
yeah.
So Rory said, you mentioned for Canada Post, making work for people. Sometimes projects go off track and you lose sight of the objective and goal. Do you have any tips or tactics for prioritizing objectives and selling the idea to people who may think otherwise?
I think marketing specifically, I think always has to align with the overall business objectives. So whenever I'm talking to somebody, and they're talking about strategies or how they could, what they can do for marketing, a lot of people, as you guys know, they say, hey, Facebook ads are hot right now. I got to do Facebook ads. So I think always going, instead of saying, okay, how do you want to do the Facebook ads, or here's how I think you should do them, I think it always comes back to what's your overall business goal? What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to do? And if they're saying, I want to increase revenue, let's say that's their main objective. A lot of times it is their client acquisition. Then you could see, there's always, you got to look at who they're targeting and what you think would be the most effective way to target them. Say they're a B2B professional services firm, which I've seen and had exposure to before, running Facebook ads isn't, in my mind, if you only have a certain budget, I'd put it elsewhere. But they just kind of see that people are doing Facebook ads, they hear it's the new thing to do, and they just want to do it, right? So I think you always need to come back to, depending on what tactics you use, it always has to come back to the overarching business objective. And I think it's easy to sell somebody on a different tactic if you can correlate why you believe that tactic will be more successful than what they're thinking in their head that they need to do, because it'll come back to achieve what they actually want to achieve.
Absolutely. That's really, really good advice. I love that.
Hopefully that answered, but
he says, thanks, Kyle. So he's happy. Anton, so one of our web developers, as a professional, do you think it makes sense to try and learn as many things as you can versus specializing in only one thing?
I mean, it depends. It depends what kind of career path you want to go down. If you want to be the expert of SEO only, let's say, then you definitely need to learn as many, technical skills and expertise as you can to specialize in SEO to showcase your value from an SEO standpoint. If you're looking to be the VP of marketing for Keynote Group, let's say, and you don't have a team, you're probably better off learning a bunch of different skills so that you can at least execute on everything that you're going to need to. And you can always outsource anything that you feel you're not the most competent in that you could get the best return if that's something you outsourced. So at Keynote, obviously, we outsourced to SEO Plus. I think technical SEO is something that's not on my list of things that I would consider myself to have enough knowledge to drive a return on. So that's why we outsource that. But I think it's really going to depend on your career path. Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? Do you see yourself as leading a marketing department, or do you see yourself leading, a piece of the marketing team, let's say, or a niche kind of department within the department?
I like that. And there's also, there's different types of people, right? Some people are more creative, some people are more technical. So if you're a hardcore web developer, Anton, and you're not into graphics at all, don't bother trying to work with Photoshop. Maybe you can learn the basics, but your time is going to be best served, like your efforts best in what you're good at for the most part, right?
Agreed, yeah.
And just like, I'm not going to go try and build a house because it would not go very well. I'd rather do SEO and buy the house. Okay, this is from paid ads. I don't know, someone's logged into the paid ads account. They're going anonymous on us. In your opinion, what is the most effective way to convert web traffic into leads? Oof, a digital question.
Ooh, in my opinion. I think, well, obviously, if you're converting, you need to have very strong landing pages. You need to understand your audience and what kind of makes them take desired actions. For me, I learn a lot from running LinkedIn ads. So I'll test a ton of different LinkedIn ads to a certain sector. So say I'm targeting the real estate industry. I will try a whole bunch of different ads with different messaging, different images, solely targeted at that industry, and use the data of what resonates best, what's converting more clicks on those ads, and I'll use that in my landing page so that the messaging is already optimized for conversion. I think if you're looking to convert web traffic, you got to have obviously the landing page or the forms on your site to be able to convert them, and getting them to take whatever desired action that you need. So I think ensuring that you've put forth the best message and even graphics that you can based on data, I think is the best way to actually convert, because you could have a landing page with a bunch of web traffic that's interested, but if it's not kind of optimized to drive performance, then it's not going to convert as well.
That's good. It definitely, the visual thing is very important, which I noticed you do a really good job with, with your custom graphics and stuff like that, right? Brings it up a notch. Yeah, I like that. And the messaging too.
Yeah.
Do you use any stock photography, or it's usually pretty, like, it's typically like regular pictures, right? Like,
yeah, I do use a lot of stock as well, but I try to incorporate, which I notice you guys do as well, which I love, incorporating as much of the real SEO plus as you can within your content. So even if it's a presentation picture, using one of SEO plus, I find it allows the reader to connect that much better, or the viewer to connect that much better with you. So I think you guys do an awesome job at photography.
Yeah, I mean, we had Dwayne Brown. He's a local photographer, friggin' amazing. Well, I had seen a couple different places. I knew he did like grade A photos and stuff like that. So I reached out to him a while back when we were in the market, and it never really panned out, because at the time it was like $2-3 grand.
Yeah,
we'll just do them ourselves. We have some creative people. Yeah. And we had tried it, and they weren't bad. But when we brought him in, and he took time to understand who you are. What's the message you're trying to? What's the story you're trying to tell? That's his thing, right? Every picture tells a story.
Yeah. Well, he's the top photographer in Ottawa in my mind. Like, especially like corporate headshots. He's the go-to. We can't afford him at Keynote, but if we could, he'd be the guy I'm calling.
Oh, 100%. So yeah, now we're gonna try to get him in like every 6 months to do those details. Because you're right, man. When we've noticed, like, when you share a blog post with a Shutterstock versus like custom photo, the engagement is so much higher, right?
Yeah,
it builds trust almost, right?
Yeah. So. And it lets them put a face and kind of relate more to what your content is. So
absolutely, definitely worth the investment. Yeah. Okay, we got Andrew. What do you think what do you like best about the Ottawa business community? Pros and cons. Do you prefer working with clients in Ottawa or in bigger markets?
I love Ottawa. I find the Ottawa business community is very tight. Once you go to a few of the business or fundraising galas that they have, once events start back up, it doesn't take long to know a lot of the room and be able to network off somebody to meet the rest of the room, kind of thing. I love Ottawa for that reason. I think you're also able to make a really big impact in Ottawa. So to show for your clients, like if you have Ottawa clients, what you're doing is probably leading edge, and it's probably something that not everybody is doing, and you can really showcase true value and make a really impact with your work. If you're in Toronto, it's harder, right? There's so many other firms. You've got all the top people there. So if you're, clients in Toronto, New York, LA, like, it's harder to make that impact, and it's harder to make that connection with the business community that you're trying to target, right? If you are targeting the business community, let's say. So I think, because I've been in a B2B setting for a lot of my career, Ottawa is just such a great, tightly knit business community that, when you make an impact, it's shown, and it's always hard when Ottawa companies try to go expand into new markets like Toronto, let's say. It's so much harder to really get that impact right away and build those relationships. So I love Ottawa. I find it's great.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. You're right. It's like everyone knows everyone in Ottawa, right?
Yeah.
So that's good advice. And it's actually, what's cool about Ottawa is that you can still serve those Toronto clients from here, right? Without having to like all the expense of Toronto.
We just need, we just get SEO Plus to set up the virtual office for you, and then
no problem.
Right there,
Hopefully we're still verified. We got to check on that. Kara, what kinds of marketing tactics or skills do you believe are essential for a senior marketing role in today's work?
I think, I mean, obviously a good general overview of marketing as a whole, but I think obviously digital plays more and more of an importance, and it will only continue. Social media obviously is big. When you are the senior marketing leader and you're reporting to a leadership team, being able to stay on top of the trends and what's new is very, very important, because that's how you're going to innovate, and how you're going to get to do new things, as opposed to going stale and losing business that way. So I think always staying on top of what's going on in the industry is very, very important. I also believe, I mean, it's not so much a marketing skill, but communication skill. If you're going to be a leader in any department, you need to be able to communicate value to the leadership team. So presentation skills are big. And I think just being a leader, knowing your team, understanding them, how to get the most out of them, that becomes more important than the actual kind of execution of tactics, because once you have a team, they're the ones typically executing the majority of it. So you need to be able to, motivate and really get the most out of every team member, and every team member is going to be different. So understanding people is probably the number one, I would say, skill for a marketing leader.
Absolutely, that's fantastic advice. What's your typical approach with management? So like knowing the different types of people, how do you assess that? Do you do like the personality quizzes or anything like that?
I mean, there are those. Those are fun. I find they're fun. Are they valuable? Not really. But it's kind of good team bonding or fun things to do. You could do that. But I find just being friendly, approachable, listening, ensuring that they're not scared every time you call them into the office that they're going to get fired. Making sure they're comfortable speaking with you. I think, and then just letting them know like that you've everything they're doing, once you're in a leadership role, there's a good chance you've done a lot of it, right? So ensuring that you can relate, the issues that are going to come up, what mistakes might get made. So if a mistake does get made, you just letting them know, like, listen, that's very common. Like, don't worry about it. Just try, you don't get upset. I don't think I've ever gotten upset with an employee, unless Marley knows differently. Maybe, I don't know. But I think, I think it's understanding. I always say to my teams, I say, you're likely never going to make a mistake that's going to be detrimental to the company. You might have a typo or you put the wrong link in an email, but like at the end of the day, it's not going to make a difference to the company. It happens. It's human error, and there's always going to be mistakes that go out. It's just learning from them and then trying not to make them again.
Absolutely. I love that. Amanda, so piggybacking on Kara's question, what kind of leadership traits do you feel are essential for people to develop if they want to have a senior lead role in the future? I think you kind of answered that a little bit, though.
Yeah, I think empathy is probably pretty big. One that I would say as well. And just, really understanding that everybody's different, and what you might want isn't essentially what they might want. So finding ways to kind of help them achieve what they need to through the ways that they want to. Like some team members may prefer text. I don't prefer text, but if that's what they prefer, I'll text them, kind of thing, right? So it's just finding different ways to work with your team too.
I like that.
Being adaptable.
Adaptable for sure, and dynamic. Yeah. But the empathy thing is big, because it's not just with team members, it's also with clients, like as an agency, right? Like, I mean, I was talking today with Anton, who's one of our web developers. We're doing a launch for one of our clients. They're seasonal. They do like sod delivery and stuff like that. And right now is when, like, if they don't make it right now, like they're done for the year. Like they do a huge in the spring, and then they have a nice thing in the fall. But other than that, they don't make sales, right? And I've been working night and day and weekend. He's been working night and day and weekend for the last 2 weeks to get this thing launched, and there's been a lot of, they've been stressed and stuff like that. And he said, well, he was trying to understand their business, right? And we talked about I explained it to him, and he's like, "Oh, that makes sense. Like, I feel they're probably going through a lot of stress right now." For me, that was like,
Yeah.
thank you, Anton. That's cool that you can actually put yourself in their shoes and see it from their perspective, right? Like that goes a long way, right?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So, oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever had this many questions for the record, Kyle. So,
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's something for you, all right?
Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
The AMA with Kyle Turk. Okay, so someone said, Austin says, because you're the man. There you
Yeah. Thank you, Austin. Oh, and
He's
Marley confirmed I didn't get upset with her.
Rory, when it comes to growing a team, what do you feel is the most important area to focus on? Process, training, picking the right people, etc.
I think picking the right person first, because if you pick the right person, you'll know that they can be trained. If you pick the wrong person, there's personalities, there's different people, kind of the way they talk, you can understand that you're not going to be able to train them properly, whether it's from a technical perspective or even just a personal perspective, right? So I think picking the right people is probably the most important. Would you rather hire someone with 5+ years of experience or someone new in the industry? Great question as well. I've always been a big fan of new people in the industry. I think when they're brand new, they've got all this. They want to prove themselves, so they're going to work harder. I think they bring new ideas. They bring fresh ideas. They understand things like TikTok better. When that kind of stuff comes out, they understand how to leverage the younger generation is the most influential generation, right? So it's once you get people that are new, they have so many ideas. They have so much different perspective. You can see, how they look through things, how their friends are looking through things. So you can understand what's coming in the next few years. And I think that's very, very valuable. If you need somebody that's able to execute something technical, I think you go with the 5+ years of experience, because I think, if you need an expert in Salesforce or automation, that kind of thing, somebody new is not going to know how to set those processes up quite the way you need them to. So I think having some experience with different teams, how they've used Salesforce or CRMs, that sort of experience will go a lot further in that case. So I think it's really going to be dependent on the position and what you're looking to achieve.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I like what you said about processes there, right? Because for example, McDonald's, they have like the best processes in the world for something so simple, making a hamburger,
Yeah.
But it's very precise how much ketchup you get and how much lettuce you get. And that means they could take anybody at minimum wage, put them in the kitchen, and they'll get a McDonald's hamburger every time, right?
Yeah.
And similar idea for digital marketing, like SEO. If you have that process, it doesn't matter who you put in that seat, as long as they're willing to learn, good at problem solving, then they should be successful, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So I like that. All right, Kyle, I think we're at 1 o'clock. So I just, on behalf of the team, really want to thank you. It's too bad we couldn't have done this in person. I think it would have been really fun, but
Yeah.
really appreciative for everything, and you got a wealth of experience, and we're very appreciative for you for joining us today, and we'll have to make sure to get you in the office once things are settled a bit.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for having me. I'll definitely pop in, maybe play a little ping pong or something.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it's great.
And if people want to connect with you, just shoot you a connection request on LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn's the best way to do it. I'll see it for sure. I won't ignore it either.
All right. Sounds good, man. Appreciate it again. Have a good day.
All right. Cheers.
Take care.
Thank you.